Hello, my faithful viewers. Yes, I am back again, and my apologies already for the insanely awful camera images you're seeing right now. But guys, I have no other choice. So welcome, if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. Yes, dears, I am the Philadelphia Whovian. And again, before I begin, I apologize for the horrible camera images you're getting before you. I am a technologically, literally incoherent sort of gal. So this is what you've got. Me at the camera talking. And right now, guys, I'm letting you know, if you cannot understand me, put in your headphones and listen in that regard. It will help you astronomically. If you're gonna stop this video right now because you're like, oh my god, I can't bother to watch a video where a person just sits in front of the camera and just talks, guys, come on, bear with me. Just sit down and eat something or knit or sew or do anything while you're listening. It will help you because trust me, this at least will be a very entertaining video just based on the content matter. So yes, now without further ado, we can finally get into the topic of discussion, which is, yes, for God knows how many days and weeks now, it has now been discussed when it comes to Doctor Who, that Russell T Davies has returned back to being the head writer and showrunner of the show. Returning to a show he has not written for in almost a decade now, or over a decade. Guys, bear with me. I'm really bad with when people leave things and the dates to which they have left. Either way, it's been discussed on many YouTube channels, but actually, this is a video that's giving an overview from New Who, from the RTD era down to the Chibnall era. And this is giving me some advice, or I'm sorry, giving some advice to Russell T Davies. Of course, this video is probably not going to be seen by you, Russell, but a girl's gotta try anyway. So yes, this is my advice for me when I'm hoping when Russell T Davies takes over as head writer and becomes head writer, his tenure does begin again. This is what I'm hoping to see in the future for Doctor Who. And my apologies if I'm talking very slowly. But again, bad camera. I have absolutely no ability to control the horrible volume. So I figure if I talk slowly, then the volume can catch everything. Again, guys, my apologies. So, without further ado, here is what I'm going to be talking about. From the RTD era down to the Chibnall era, especially when it comes to the BBC and also the people who work on Doctor Who itself. In every single era of New Who, there's been one consistent problem that nobody addresses or talks about, but it's been in New Who for a while now and throughout the entire thing. And what will help New Who going forward is to address this problem and to fix it. And each era has that same problem, it's just manifested in different ways. So without further ado, we're getting with Series 1 down to Series whatever of the Jodie Whittaker era. Sorry, I know there's another, episodes coming out later on next year, so can't say what season we're going to end with just yet. So, beginning with Series 1, we have Chris Eccleston as the 9th Doctor, after the first 8 Doctors have had their time on the show, with Billie Piper playing Rose Tyler, and then we have Mickey Smith, we have, again, Adam, and we have Captain Jack. Those are the sub-companions. I call them sub-companions because they're not full-on companions, but they were still there. And when it comes to Series 1, this is a season that is very well loved by a significant portion of the fandom. It could be nostalgia, it can be genuine. I admit Series 1 is not my personal favorite, but I see why it appeals to people in a very significant way. Again, this is what got you possibly into the show. And so you can't really forget your first time into the show or your first Doctor, etc. and so forth. But when it comes to Series 1, a problem I did have with Series 1 is you had Rose Tyler. She was the companion, and she was built up in many ways to be the kind of end-all, be-all, a very important companion to the Doctor. And you had 3 male companions who were the sub companions, and each time the Doctor did not really consider their self worth very much, or they were written in a way that was meant to make the Doctor look like the ultimate male in Rose Tyler's life. What I mean by that is the male companions were not put on the same level of dedication and effort and love put into them as the one female companion. I did not think that was a very good way to start the show because it could in many ways potentially lead to the male characters in Doctor Who not being as well regarded as the females and could lead to potential problems later on. Now, of course, you can disagree with me all that you wish. This is a subjective theory where there is no objective right or wrong. And I should say that right now. This is a subjective theory where there is no objective right or wrong. My perspective is not wrong because it's not your perspective, the way your perspective is not wrong for not being my perspective. That's the reality of the situation. You cannot say, oh, you're wrong because you think differently than me. I cannot say you're wrong because I think differently than you. That's the way it is. There's always a potentiality that there might be some truth. Sorry, there might be some truth into what both of us are saying. But I personally believe it was not a good thing to have Doctor Who start in that way, where the male companions were not on the same level as the female. It led to a very strange relationship with the Doctor and the female companions. That was my problem with Series 1. There were a few other problems I had, but that was the main one. Then we get Series 3. We have Martha Jones as the new companion who took over for Rose Tyler when Billie Piper chose to leave. And automatically, this is a season where it literally was a season of Martha Jones made to feel like she was unequal and would never be on the same level as Rose Tyler, even to the point where the Doctor was very abusive in many ways towards her. No one wants to talk about it because they love the 10th Doctor so much. They don't want to see that he was actually very horrible to Martha. And also, because Russell built it up in a way where you were never going to view Martha as equal to Rose. That led to, again, a situation where the next companion was never going to be equal to the first companion of the new show. And that was a very bad precedence because it led to Doctor Who, as people have seen my channel, have heard me say over and over again, fold over on itself, where you keep on looking back for the beloved item as opposed to looking forward and accepting the next situation or the next companion. This led to a problem with the show overall, in my overall opinion. So the first series, I did not like how the male companions were treated. This led to problems later on with how males were perceived or written in Doctor Who. With Series 3, in the 10th Doctor's era, there was a major problem because the 10th Doctor did not respect or treat his next companion equal to the previous companion. I thought that was a very, very bad thing to do. I thought it was disrespectful to Martha Jones and Freema when taking over for the part of companion. And I thought it just led to the Doctor being put in a very bad situation where he was abusive himself, but he was abused by this sense of inequality, as it were. There was that. Then the 11th Doctor's era came, where Moffat took over as showrunner. As many people on my channel know, I absolutely love the 11th Doctor, and I love all of his era, even with the flaws and all, because at the end of the day, the 11th Doctor, from beginning to end, was the Doctor. He was everything the Doctor was known for being, from the classic show to the new show. And also, I like how whoever companion he traveled with, that was his companion, and he loved them. However, there was still an inequality in his era when it came to how BBC broke up the seasons. Moffat took over as head writer. Only Series 5 of the 11th Doctor's era was done in one span of time, one full season. The other two seasons, BBC broke up the seasons, and Moffat had no real control over this. He had no real control over. He would even ask BBC to plan Doctor Who at certain times so he can do it right. He can make sure he gave the right time to Doctor Who, and Sherlock. The BBC, they were the ones who controlled the scheduling. By breaking up the 11th Doctor's seasons, it led to a lack of cohesion within a season, led to people kind of being too extreme, and led to people having such high expectations. There was no way those expectations could be met, and no way that Moffat could write the cohesive season where things felt united. And I thought that was very disrespectful to Moffat, and it treated Moffat, in my opinion, very unequal to the RTD era, and also had the 11th Doctor's era treated very unequally to the previous two Doctors. Again, you're seeing a pattern here that is very, very apparent. Then we get to the 12th Doctor's era, and the 12th Doctor's era, I'm going to make it very clear, guys. There's many things about the 12th Doctor's era I do like. I think Peter Capaldi is a great actor. I think Moffat is still a great writer, and the writers who worked on this era are very good writers. I admit I will never love the pacing of Series 8 or the and Series 9 most of the time, as well as the lighting of Series 8 and 9. I like Mummy on the Orient Express, and Flatline, and Face the Raven, but the pacing and lighting of Series 8 and 9 were not very good. But the problem I have with the Peter Capaldi era is it introduced a big significant problem, and that is segregation and bigotry. No one wants to talk about it, but it's there. Where again, when it came to anti-American sentiments in Doctor Who, I have known for quite some time that BBC has a sense of bigotry when it comes to American concepts of being introduced into the BBC through Doctor Who, despite the fact that the show was created by a North American. And without Sidney Newman, the North American who created the show, there would be no Doctor Who. But this gets forgotten very easily by many people working on Doctor Who now. Doctor Who was a show where it was a collaboration between two different cultures from two separate continents. That's why Doctor Who worked. And Sidney Newman, if you're going to make the argument, well, he was Canadian, and we mean the US, all countries on North America are American. They're part of American culture. To prove it to you, when we slaved, were here in America, Canada was the way we escaped to freedom through the Underground Railroad when the British, the Dutch, and other countries were shipping their slaves over here. Canada was vital to the African American freedom through the Underground Railroad. Canada has a very important part in American culture. We are all Americans here, even though we're different countries with different identities. Sidney Newman, sorry, bad enunciation, did not plan for his show to be used as an act of bigotry to any country or continent, especially his own. In Series 8, the Doctor showed anti-American sentiments in Dark Water / Death in Heaven. Can't remember which part. And by extension, so did Unit, as well as BBC has already had this problem. This is absolutely disgusting. First of all, it's completely inappropriate to the Doctor's character. The Doctor despises bigotry at all costs. He then condemns it, especially since in the classic show, British writers made it very clear the Doctor does not condone this because he was even questioned himself for not being British. He was considered a foreigner, and he made it very clear he despised people who made him feel bad because he was an outsider who came in to help. Made it very clear. So this is disrespectful to the Doctor's character. Disrespectful to the original creator of the show. Disrespectful to the audience. But I'm going to put it right now here. BBC, Moffat, and Peter Capaldi, you both made a grave mistake. Anything Peter Capaldi? Why am I talking to you about this? Well, if you ever heard of the movie The Boondock Saints, great movie, but I'm going to give a really great quote there, which is, we must all fear evil men, but there's one thing we must fear the most, the indifference of good men. Peter, as an actor to another, I have seen many actors, when they know there are kids in the audience and they're given a script that shows injustice towards any demographic of children, the first thing they did is they cross out those lines, go to the writer and say, we're not saying this, or I'm not saying this, here's why. Those actors were being paid $15 an hour. I would know. I was one of those actors. I even risked getting fired because I would not say certain things in front of children because I knew I did not want a kid to hear that. I even did get fired one time for that. Don't worry, audiences. People hired me again the next week when they realized they were wrong about something. So, it all worked out. But ultimately, Peter, as an actor to another, you have the ability to veto a line that you know is intolerant and promotes segregation. Your line, as the doctor, promoted segregation. Moffat, you wrote something that promoted segregation with regards to Americans versus when it comes to Britain. BBC has constantly promoted this segregation concept in its own behavior. I would know. I'm one of the Americans that BBC made it very clear could not work on Doctor Who because she was American. Don't believe me? I'm a novelist. BBC. I'm the woman who wrote Doctor Who, The Time of the Companions. I'm also the one who wrote Doctor Who, The Time Splicer. It was a 12-book series. This was a trilogy where I literally made a living off of publishing these books. Why did I self-publish them against all of BBC's expectations? Because I was never allowed. Again, this was 6 years ago. I was not allowed to write as an American. So out of pure anger, I self-published my own books, willing to risk copyright infringement because I fight. And I did not fear anything. Even I knew you could flag me. But you gotta understand, BBC, I come from a race of people who are willing to get shot for the right to vote. And many people of my own nationality did get shot when they would vote for the first time. Not publishing my books for fear of copyright infringement, I'd look like a coward. A complete coward. I come from a race of people who were treated unequally for a very long time. And I was not in the mood to be treated unequally now, just because I'm an American. And I'm not ashamed of where I come from, the way no one should be ashamed for where they come from. You are not the victims here. You're acting like the villain. And Moffat and Peter Capaldi, when Moffat, you wrote that line, and Peter Capaldi, when you allowed that line to be said, rather than fighting, you allowed segregation to happen, and I cannot sit there and say, oh, well, whatever. Because I've seen the evils of segregation. It never works out. Telling somebody, no matter where they are, their nation, who they are, what they're born as, you do not accept them, or you do not include them, you are racist. See, here's the thing, BBC, you forget. There are Caucasian American children here. There are African American children. There are Asian American children, Mexican American children, Hispanic American children. There are Native American children from the Indian cultures that you have no right to segregate yourself against. No right. And there are also Scottish American people here who are American children descended from Scots. Moffat and Peter, what the hell were you doing? There are English people here who have American children. You offended these kids by telling them they're not included. And say, oh, we weren't talking to kids. Americans all start out as children, the way British people start out as children. Every nation starts out as children. How dare you tell a child you don't include them because they pray or because of this or this? No, you are racist. How dare you use the doctor for that? I could not forgive. So Peter, Moffat, BBC, you forgot what made the doctor, and I can't abide that. I can't forgive it, I can't condone it, I can't do anything, because it was the wrong way to be. And it was ugly of you, in every way. And I got news for you. Again, Peter and Moffat specifically, I got news for you. If you actually bother to open a history book, you insult Americans, you're actually insulting Scottish people. Because I got news for you, white people. You're like us black people. You're not really native to America or North America. We're all either descended from immigrants or people who were brought here through slave labor. Where do you think these white people came from? And by the way, BBC, if you've still got this impulse in your brain that, oh, you don't want to include Americans or you have a problem with them because of our mistakes. Well, yes, we make mistakes. What country has not? But the second you allow injustice, intolerance, and bigotry, segregation, you don't include someone based on being different, then guess what? I gotta call you out on your history. See, here's the thing. Every culture has failed somebody. And I'm an African American female with an Irish name, so you know I've been shat on by pretty much everyone. But let's really be general here. Moffat, Peter, Capaldi, BBC, anyone here. You see, if we're going to go through this whole, oh, we don't like a whole nation of people, instead of judging people by individuals, we're judging them by a whole nation generalization, here we go. This means I have to hate all white people because you guys are directly responsible for the injustice against my people, against the native cultures, and other cultures of diversity. I have to hate you all for slavery. I have to hate all British people, all Dutch people, and a few other nations, the Portuguese and the Spanish, for shipping your slaves here to American culture or to North America and weaning this culture on slavery, oppression of the natives, and for bringing your guns over here. Yeah, all that came through European colonization, including the British. I now have to hate all white British women because it was a white British woman who actually condoned slavery in England and Britain for the first time. Her name was Queen Elizabeth. She did not like the idea initially, but when she saw how much money she got from the trade, she allowed slavery to occur and never tried to abolish it, and allowed it to happen. And this continued with King James I. You see, this is the problem with bigotry and intolerance. Everyone sucks. So which means if you're going to allow bigotry or you're going to segregate yourself against any other people for any reason, then guess what? It can happen to you because you ultimately are causing the problem because you still are the problem. You have to put hate down. I refuse to hate all white people because of what many white people have done. I refuse to hate all men or women or whatever who hurt my people or another nation because I know there's good in every single nation. You don't reject in a general way, you reject in an individual way, not a general one. You gotta put hate down. Because if you start doing the whole victim thing or pulling the victim card, I got news for you. You are never going to be the ones on top. BBC or anybody at the BBC who deal with this sort of behavior, you're not the victim, you're the villain. And I make it very clear, BBC, I understand you're like Hollywood. There are a lot of good people, great people at the BBC who just want to work and get their work out there. But unfortunately, there is always the bad ones. So I know there is good in you. I know there is. And that was a big problem. And I know you're thinking, oh, people in the audience, oh, you're taking a small action and making it too big, or you're overreacting. There's no such thing as a small act of bigotry, because if you open the damn history books, all small acts of bigotry lead to a much larger act of bigotry. And that includes part 1 for this video, because I have more to say later. This video is going on too long. Guys, I'll talk to you in part 2. Guys, you're awesome. And then we'll talk about the Chibnall era as well, and the mistake they also made. See you soon, guys.